Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Daniel, and we'll be taking you through the webinar shortly. I believe everybody's online at the moment, so we can kick off. So welcome to the webinar, Automating Manufacturing Workflows, hosted by Baker Baynes. My name is Daniel, and I am joined by my colleague AJ, who I'll introduce shortly. All right, so let's run through the agenda very quickly. We've got a welcome and introduction. We look at some of the challenges faced by the industry, and we understand that there's multiple, but then how do we solve that problem? So what can be done? We look at two solutions. One is a PDM solution, a product data management solution, and the other is a PLM solution, which is a product lifecycle management. And then we dive in slightly deeper into each of the solutions. So Autodesk Vault from a PDM perspective, and then Fusion Manage following on that, right? Now, Fusion Manage, very interesting to note that it has been previously named as Upchain, so Fusion Upchain. Now, when we look at it, there's a combined solution as well, which is Autodesk Vault and Fusion Manage, which equates to Vault PLM. We've got a question and answer session at the end, and then a close. So just to start, who are we? So for the guys online that don't know us at Baker Baynes, we are a niche consulting company that looks after various aspects of your design and manufacturing workflows. And how do we do that? It's a very interesting way that we do it. We look at three main areas. Firstly, consulting. And what does consulting look like? It looks like things like business process assessment, BOM consulting, data management, which is what we're here for today, right? Data management, CAD, CAM, as well as simulation. From an education perspective, we are firm believers in education. So we have classroom training. This could be virtual or in-class training. We also offer customized user training based on project requirements, as well as self-paced learning. So we're also very big believers in a blended learning approach, which also looks at learning outside of the classroom. From a software and hardware perspective, we are Autodesk Gold partners, but we also partner with other vendors which allow us to complete that workflow. And you'll see on the screen to the right, companies' logos like ClearEdge, Cool Orange, for example. Cool Orange is a tool that predominantly used in the data management and the PLM side of it, so with Vaults as well as the Fusion Manage applications. From a scanning side perspective, we partner with Leica for scanning solutions. And from an education side of it, as I say, we are strong believers of blended learning. So Pinnacle series from Eagle Point helps us solve that problem. We have expertise in various industries, building, civil, energy, process plant, and manufacturing. And I think today's discussion is going to revolve a lot around manufacturing as well as process plant. So just to introduce you to the speakers for today, my name is Daniel. I am the key account, well, I used to be the key account manager at Baker Baynes, but now I'm more on the director side of it. So I look after the process, energy, and mining, as well as manufacturing here at Baker Baynes. So I've been around the industry for many years, over a decade, and I have qualifications in mechanical engineering as well as Autodesk data management and AEC process plant and manufacturing certifications. I'm going to introduce my colleague to you, who's going to be presenting a lot of the webinar today. It's AJ. So some of you may know AJ from a technical perspective. He's the guy that specializes in data management and PLM, as well as the manufacturing tools that Autodesk has to offer. He's a mechanical engineer with the experience, with many years of design experience, as well as project management. And he's quite passionate about quality management as well as lean manufacturing. So AJ, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. And don't undersell yourself, though, while you're at it.
Try not to. All right, so I'm going to hand over to you to take us through some of the challenges that you've seen out in the industry.
Sure. Thank you very much, Daniel. So all of us are aware that there are a few issues that have come up, especially with the manual workflows and antiquated mechanisms in the way in which we work. Many companies are faced with a large number of issues, some of which are actually being shown over here. If you look at this, there's a lot of internal factors, and we'll just talk about the top 5 for now. the improvement of engineers and other team members' productivity is absolutely, it's an ongoing process. It's never something that stops. Quality never sleeps, so they say. It shouldn't, in fact, because quality is absolutely of paramount importance going into any manufacturing or even construction industry. Because if you don't produce quality, things break, and when things break, its reputation on the line. Collaboration is something that's becoming more and more important as we go along. So the ease of collaboration is something that needs to happen seamlessly. Developmental costs, as they're ballooning, as cost of living goes up, as cost of materials go up, as cost of labor even goes up, we need to find ways to reduce the costs of development. Over the years, certain best practices have actually been developed, defined. One of which is lean manufacturing, like Daniel mentioned, is something that I'm quite passionate about, and I do have some background in. And those sort of best practices do actually improve our process, improve our quality, and improve the product. And the last but not least, we have a reduction of time to market. So the longer we take to get to market, the longer we have development time, and the development time, that costs money. So reducing time to market also ends up being something of extreme importance in the sense of being able to make money out of the product that you are currently developing.
And I guess the source of this can be shared following the webinar if you need, because it's taken from the insights that Autodesk published in 2022. So if you fancy a read, let us know. We will share this information with you, and you can have a look at it afterward. But moving along from that, interesting fact, right, is that 80% of data that's created by business goes unused. And that's quite a factor, because we know it's expensive to create data. It's expensive to create models, variations of those models. It's expensive to create the documentation that go with that model, but only 80% goes unused. So that's quite an interesting fact for me, right? When we're looking at stuff like it. And I'm sure if you look at your organization and your environment, this 80% may resonate, right?
The data is available for you to actually use to improve your process. The trick here is to use the data.
And it goes unused, right? And that's why it brings us to the next point of most manufacturers of today are solving problems that was designed yesterday, right? So in other words, using siloed ways of working. So we often see it where you've got engineering sitting in one engineering, drawing, modeling, design team sitting in one silo, manufacturing sitting separately, procurement sitting separately. And there is a chain, but that chain is not very strong. Sometimes there's a break in between, and that sometimes causes a lot of miscommunications in between it. And we can see it here. 51% of such to communicate data suppliers with suppliers and machine shops, right? That's one of the challenges. That's a problem. 51% is pulled out of this report. That's a challenge. 42% of them using prototyping for testing. And we know prototyping is expensive because it's a physical prototype. What if you could test using a digital model? That would be a lot more cost effective and will save a lot of time. But also from a downstream manufacturing perspective, we see that also 46% of manufacturers working with tooling and designing equipment have challenges as well.
And further to that, we also see the amount of time that can be it can be quantified in terms of the amount of time that's lost using the old tools. If you can see, according to the same study, we've got 2 months per year is wasted by team members just looking for data. I mean, picture this. Everything is sitting in a network drive in all kinds of various folders, and you need to find a specific, let's call it an assembly drawing or a bill of materials that you need to kick out. How much time is actually spent searching for the correct file, opening the wrong one sometimes, depending on the naming. Then an average of 10 systems that engineers are using to make a single change, that it starts to become, it builds as it goes along. And 83% of new products that are being developed miss their cost targets, meaning that the development cost has far exceeded what can be made within the certain planned return time. And then another big issue is that we miss the launch date as well. So 79% of all products that are being designed or miss the launch date. This is an average, again, determined by the same study that we were talking about.
And I think launch date is important because it goes to say that many projects are not on time. And I mean, if a launch of a product needs to be at a specific time, there's There's, of course, calculations behind that. Why is it needed at that time? Missing it, what is the impact of it? And sometimes we don't look at the impact, but to understand what that impact is on the business, when we start looking at, you'll start seeing that a lot of these resonate with the way we work in today's day and age.
Yeah, and you miss if it's almost like you have to strike while the iron is hot, so to say. So, but let's get into it. So the problems that we're discussing, the issues that we're discussing, are broken down into three aspects. One is people. We'll talk a little bit about that, where you can actually see some interesting statistics that are on here. Some of us are fully cognizant of these issues. The collaboration issue is a big one, where you need to where you're collaborating via email, via text, on drawings, on PDFs, whatever the case may be. Collaboration, that's internal collaboration. Now we're talking about 40% of companies are also facing challenges when it comes to collaborating outside of their organization. Now, collaborating with suppliers, with end users, potentially even where the end user needs to actually get back to you, those sort of issues exist, and those we need to be solved. And I'm sure all of us can resonate with those issues. The next aspect that we're looking at the problems from is the process aspect. And again, a few statistics, 57% of companies have issues managing change orders and change release. So that speaks to a process issue, because everything works on a feedback loop. And if you've got a reasonable and a seamless feedback loop, then you can solve problems, sometimes potentially before they even exist. And if there's a constant level of collaboration, that also allows you to identify risks and potential issues before they happen. If you look at the little graph, you see that there's a change management issue is quite a big percentage. Then you've got configuration of component of assemblies, BOMs, product configuration for manufacturing could be a problem as well, and 48% is reporting it as an issue. The design data management, that's another thing that it kind of speaks to that whole aspect of wasting time finding your data. And again, also kind of contributing to 80% of the data being unused. Then the third aspect is data. Now, finding the right information, once again, 48% have reported that finding the right information is a big issue for them. The amount of time wasted, the reuse of data, and working on wrong or incorrect data. Now, that one strikes a chord with a lot of people in the manufacturing industry, and I'm assuming most of you also does have that understanding of working on outdated data. Picture, again, you have a product or you have a component that's being manufactured off of a PDF or a paper drawing. Now, when an update happens to that particular product due to market-related constraints, the manufacturing may still take place on the old existing paper drawing, and hundreds and potentially thousands of components later, you find that we've been working off of an outdated piece of data.
So I think also what's important here is the change management, because often you find that something's changed. It's been released to manufacturing. Manufacturing picks up a challenge. They need to change it. Does that information get communicated back to engineering or drawing office? Sometimes not. If it does, how is it stored? Because if you had to go back a year or 2 years later and really dig into why is it changed, who requested the change, what was the actual change, sometimes we've seen, and often, that information is not saved, it's not stored, so we can't go back to it. Or if it's stored, it's difficult to find, accessing data, right? So that's the other challenge.
Yeah. This is, if you look at it, and from what we've already spoken about so far, the siloed workspace presents a large number of challenges, because everybody is laser focused on what they do and only what they do. So the information coming in from outside may either be missed or may not exist, or potentially, considering the fact that you have to use 10, 20, 15 different communication mechanisms to be able to communicate with each other, there is a large volume of information floating around. But is it the correct information, first and foremost? And secondly, the timing of the information receipt is also very important, in that if you receive an update on market-related changes that are required too late after you've manufactured 1,000 items, where does it go? We've got a lot of cost, we've got a lot of time that has been invested into this process.
Also, I think that data scenario goes back to that statistics of the 80% of the engineering data that goes unused.
Right.
Because if you look at that image, you see one, of course, it's siloed working, but information flowing in another, the stream of information, it doesn't look very good.
Exactly. And then to just link it back to lean, one of the major 8 wastes is the transport waste. And if you look at the footprints on that diagram, each person has to walk from a printer back to their office, back to the next person, and so on and so forth. That's another delay that actually gets added to your process. Most of us will also resonate and understand the concept of a typical practice of throw it over the wall. We do what we need to do. So job comes into the in tray, you do your job, throw it across, throw it over the wall to the next person, not my problem anymore, right? That is one of the major reasons why a lot of inefficiencies take place. So engineering does their job, throws it over the wall to the supply chain, manufacturing, quality, and service. Then each one of them has to make a decision based on the information that's received from engineering. Now, if there's no reverse flow of information from those 4 departments back to the design team or the engineering team, we don't understand from a design perspective what they need to mitigate, what they need to do to mitigate the potential issues that could happen. And again, it goes out, the information goes out, the work gets done, then they realize, oh, wait, we've got a problem. And then they send the information back, and then there's another delay to do the redesign. So that becomes a very cyclic and very, I'm going to, for want of a better word, annoying and irritating process, which then leads to a high life cycle change cost.
But also, we spoke about missing your deadline. This is one of the areas.
Sure.
Right?
One of the reasons for that back and forth can also be one of the major reasons why deadlines are missed. And we all can resonate with that. And all of this leads to more pressure than ever. The pace of the world is getting faster and faster as we go along. Other companies, competitors are then speeding up their process, improving their process, and making it more worthwhile for themselves.
And I think every day I speak to clients and colleagues, and you ask them, how's it going? And it's always very busy, very busy. It feels like the last year never ended, and we're just carrying on. I'm sure a lot of you online will also feel that way. So meaning that the pressure is on all the time. Also, what are ways that we can do to relieve that pressure? And those are things that we hope to solve today with you, right? So AJ, I believe you've got some polls set up for the guys.
Okay, yeah. So let's run a poll. The first poll. So what are the problems that you guys are being affected by? Shall we have that poll launched? See it.
Okay, so let's have a look at what the polls look like. All right, so the polls are up.
So what aspect of what we've spoken about have you been struggling with? So the collaboration and the siloed workflow, is that a problem? Change management, product configurations, or design and data management?
I think we'll give it a minute, and then we can kick it off following that. All right, so we can see some info coming in. So let's give it a couple of more seconds before we kick off. All right,
let's carry on.
All right, so let's crack on.
So let's quickly talk about what can be done going forward to attempt to solve those problems and issues that can be solved that we've seen. We're going to look at it from 2 perspectives. One is a PDM solution, and one is a PLM solution. What is PDM? What is PLM? We're going to quickly talk about those concepts and what they mean, and then we'll carry on from there. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a PDM solution, which is a product data management solution. What does a product data management solution look like? So we're looking at, in the case of, we're talking about the 80% data that's being unused. We're talking about data incorrect data. We're talking about all of that. So what does a PDM solution do for you from an engineering efficiency perspective? It makes it easy for you to connect to CAD, and the CAD system directly talks to the PDM solution. It improves your teamwork, allows release control for revisions, bill of materials creations. Again, that can be then controlled in terms of a streamlined flow. It's an all-in-one solution that allows you to connect CAD and project documents all together. Allows you to save time, so that that walking time that you have between the printer and the factory, that can be reduced quite significantly. But in addition to that, your online collaboration, you don't have to be sending the emails. All of that information is available from the PDM directly. The reuse, so your classifications, your searching, your reuse of library data, all of that can be also mitigated using this. And that, again, assists you with your workload and gives you the ability to to create a task list and reporting on progress, which overall tells us what is a PDM solution. So what is PDM per se? This is a strategy for managing the information and processes all in one. Product data management keeps your data in a secure location. So again, speaking to security of your data. So when you're talking about IP, who's allowed to see what? Do you really want to see, let your, the guys on the factory see your design process on your R&D stuff? Because, is it necessary? IP is one thing. Then again, there is also functionality where you can specify it so that certain files and certain data can be shared with suppliers and end users for them to be able to prepare for your process to be used. The reasons, three aspects, like we spoke about a little bit earlier. How we would implement a PDM strategy is using the people, the process, and the data aspects of things. So we talk about people, we're talking collaboration, we're talking about efficiency. The process we set up the flows, and you would be able to then determine how a change management process takes place, and then the data that we spoke about with regards to security, location, and ease of transfer. Moving along. So what does it mean when we talk PDM? We're talking about a central location, somewhere that's a central repository for all of your data, that can be backed up, that can be actually set up with all security requirements. File-related properties that can be indexed and allowing you for much easier search and much quicker and easier turnaround in terms of the file transfer. And again, we're talking about people who are working together in a team that need to have different levels of access to different files and different data. The reuse of existing designs, collaboration with other engineers. So one of the nice things about a system like this is that you do not have to be in the same physical location to be able to transfer the data to each other. ECOs stand for engineering change orders. So again, that speaks to the change management aspect and again on the review as well. So we create a process flow with a life cycle, and then the review process is then tracked, and you can add a revision setup so that you can see how many times the product has been reviewed, and then we can actually ask the question why. Documentation management, again, talking through security and location and backing up of files, locating them where you want to be, and again, ease of transfer, ease of use. And then all bill of materials data, and this is something that everybody will resonate with. Once again, bill of materials, when you want to build something, you need to know what you have to build it with.
Yeah, also, management of that bill of materials, you could have that integrated downstream to other departments, for example, procurement. How do I look at my BOMs? Is it an engineering BOM? Is it a manufacturing BOM? So the E BOM or the M BOM, right? So there's ways to manage it using a PDM system.
Yeah, and again, for costing as well, when it comes down to when you're actually sort of creating a costing for a particular project, for you to be able to see the information that's required for you to be able to create that costing.
But also, you spoke about lean manufacturing earlier on. Sometimes in lean manufacturing, they talk about keeping stock is not a value item.
For sure.
So managing your bill of materials correctly, if you need to keep stock, yes. But if you don't need to keep stock, how do you manage that without proper BOM management?
Yeah. Moving on. So, just let that sink in for a couple of seconds in terms of what the PDM solution offers. Moving on, we will then talk about the PLM, or the Product Lifecycle Management, which is a bit more of an enterprise kind of process. It in addition to the PDM, what it will actually give you is the extra functionality of creating your process flow, but then that has the direct link to your ERP and so on. We'll talk about that as we go along. Each process, each product, each project contains multiple different departments. And we're talking about sales, engineering, production, purchasing, services, as well as any other potential departments that may have something to say. Management is also one of those potential groups that will be involved directly with any project process or any flow.
So, but the thing is, we spoke about siloed earlier on. This looks like it's a tool that can connect into different various areas of the company, right? So, from an ERP perspective, you can connect into that. Look, PDM also connects into that. However, you need some additional tools to do that. But from an ERP perspective, with the PLM system, it's a lot easier, right? Production MES. Last week I know we've conducted a webinar regarding MES, around MES solutions throughput, which is fusion operations. So how does it connect into that, right? So there's a seamless connection into that as well. Okay.
Right. So I mean, you've got like Daniel was saying just now, you've got the different tools that allow for different siloed teams to work together, but then the PLM kind of just integrates a lot. Moving forward in the different aspects, now you can see the different aspects and where they actually fit in. So when you're talking about new product development, it runs through sales, engineering, purchasing, and production. Non-conformances is engineering, purchasing, production. Change requests, change orders are all the way through from, again, engineering, purchasing, production, and up to a point sales. Requests for quotes run through those two different teams. Now, a product failure will then include the services team as well, because then they need to go out and fix. And then we're starting to look at product warranties as well.
Also, I think when you start looking at failures, you start tracking failures, right? Within a PLM system, you can understand why stuff's failing. So that's when your engineering change orders would come into play, because now we're changing specifics because we know that's predicted failures, or we know of failures that's there.
In addition to that, as he's saying, once you know how the failure, what your failure rate is and what your failure requirements are, that actually improves your QMS or your quality management system going forward. So then either one of two things needs to happen. One, you need to either modify the product so that it actually lasts longer than what it does, or specifically if there's a certain aspect of usage that it needs to improve on, that will also be tracked immediately. And taking into account the different, again, going back to all the different tools that are being used to track your production process and your flow, as well as to see what your returns are. You've got your Excel sheets, you've got emails, you've got PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoints, scheduling tools, everything sort of on so many different platforms that just makes it a mess. And again, that brings us back to the 2 months and a year that's been spent just on data tracking using all the different traditional tools, so to say.
But also, I think the loss of data. It's easy to lose an Excel sheet.
Sure.
It's not managed. It's easy to lose a PDF. And going back to the time aspect, how many hours do you spend searching for files? That AJ covered that earlier on as well, right? So those are things that you've got to be cognizant of when looking at this type of environment.
So Daniel, as a director, when you come and ask me for information, have you ever heard the phrase, and I'm sure you have multiple times from me, but I sent you an email?
Yep. Yeah.
Meantime, I haven't clicked send yet. So, that sort of thing does happen. So let's just move on. And so again, just highlighting all the different what your screen can potentially look like if you're in the thick of things, when everything is busy happening and when things are not particularly well. So you've got a return from a customer within warranty. Now you need to figure out why. And there's so many different questions that are being asked of you. Are we in time? What are we doing? Is this done already? Where do we expect delays? Is this the most recent design? Do we share this with the supply chain? And so on and so forth. The questions can continue forever. It's a question upon question upon question. By the time the user or the designer, engineer, manufacturer, whoever it is, has even thought about the answer to the first question, the next question comes up, and it just becomes very, very overwhelming.
And I think often, like we spoke about this early on, the time's just limited, and we're very busy, and we're doing stuff, and we can't get enough time in the day to finish what we're doing. But have we stopped and asked ourselves the question, how long do we spend in meetings? How long do we spend on the telephone? How long do we spend answering emails or sending emails? Things like that. And I'm sure, AJ, you got some stats for us here.
I've got some stats for us, and we're looking at on average 20 hours per week per person is being used up just in meetings, in calls, just finding out information, sending emails, receiving emails, reading long emails with regards to, oh, but why did my product fail? Copying and pasting information, moving information from one place to the other, it just carries on and on and on, and it becomes a snowball effect. So all of us, most of us, in fact, have been through this. Most of us do resonate with this, and we do understand where this comes from. I have a question. I'm just going to before we move on to the next section, I have a question for you just to ponder on. Does a lot of hard work translate to effective work? I'm going to leave you with that, and then we see, okay, now that gets covered now by the product lifecycle management tools. Product lifecycle management tools is a fully integrated, everything in between, all connected system that sends out your task list, sends out follows your process, manages lifecycle, connects directly to your ERP system, connects directly to your every other team member. If you want to see how that looks, it just looks a lot neater the way it does. All the information is connected on a centralized system.
It's a connected process, right? So each department's connected, data is being shared across different departments. It's easy to access data, it's easy to correct data if it needs to be. But what's also key to remember here is that the right data is accessible to the right people at the right time.
At the right time, with the right access rights.
Yeah.
So it's quite a nice little graphic that shows what PLM does in terms of integrating the different departments and the different stakeholders. Moving on, so this is now basically we're talking to the opposite way of working from what we spoke about, throwing it over the wall. You've got an integrated system where you can talk where all the different systems and all the different people can talk to each other. And another thing is multiple aspects of the process can actually happen simultaneously if you have that constant communication in place. So let's talk about costing while design is happening, while R&D is happening, everything talks to each other, where if you've got a design for a specific product, you've got design for cost and supply, manufacturing, quality and service, all happening at the same time, while the departments are constantly in communication with each other. Each person has their own task list, each person has their own information list, and then they have access to whatever information they need at their fingertips.
So basically no wall.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Break down the wall, right?
Yeah. Move past the barrier.
Yes.
How do we do that?
So how do we do that? So the first thing we're going to speak about quickly is Autodesk Vault, which is a PDM solution, product data management solution Autodesk provides. We've been offering it for quite a long time. It is something that we are quite passionate about as well. And here with quickly just a brief video.
Engineering data is complex, but managing it shouldn't be. When you have a confusion of poorly managed data, people are wasting time looking for files, sifting through emails, using the wrong drawings, and working in silos. It's time to get your data under control with Autodesk Vault. Vault is product data management that keeps everyone working from a central source of secure, organized data. It integrates with your Autodesk design tools and other CAD systems, so you can quickly find what you need and prevent rework. But it's more than CAD file management. Vault ensures a consistent approach for data input, review, and release to manufacturing. Teams can access data instantly and work simultaneously without overwriting files. Vault brings together internal and external collaborators, including suppliers and customers. Share files while protecting IP. Review, markup, and track comments. Vault manages the change orders and revisions for a complete history of ECOs. Vault also helps you create and maintain a comprehensive bill of materials, updated in real time as you work. From design to release to manufacturing, everyone works with the latest data. No need for a VPN connection when working remote. Vault users stay productive anywhere they need to work, whether desktop or mobile. Easily add users to your subscription as you scale. And with our global network of Autodesk partners, there are local experts ready to help you get the most from Vault PDM. Autodesk Vault transforms your whole design to manufacturing process, which helps you deliver better products faster and at a lower cost.
I hope that provided some insight as to an overview of what Vault does offer. Now, when it comes to Vault, it is a single PDM that manages all of your product data, and it does integrate quite seamlessly with Alias, AutoCAD, factory design utilities, Inventor, and so on. Additionally, though, it does integrate into your Office suite of products, as well as your PDF or your Adobe stuff, and external CAD users, CAD programs as well, can make use of the Vault where necessary. Vault does allow you to sort of integrate all of that data. You will be able to connect seamlessly, and we'll see it as we go along with the additional tools that Vault actually has. In addition to that, quality improvement is something that, as Daniel has mentioned, that everybody has to be passionate about. Quality is not something you do; it's something you live. It's a quote that stuck with me for quite a long time, ever since I've actually done the courses. That's something that if you want quality, you need to be quality. If you want output quality, it's not something that you can't just go in and implement a Six Sigma statistic and expect the quality of your product to come out right. So it in all aspects. Additional to that, we're talking about your standards organizations when they're talking about change management and documentation. Vault, or a PDM in this case, allows seamless integration into an ISO or a SAB system, which the trackability and traceability of which is one of the key points of being allowed to be ISO 9001 or 15001 certified. Standardization, quality improvements already spoken about. Error prevention, again, your life cycle, your process flow check allows you to do all of that. Data improvement, again, we'll keep talking about the 80% of misused or unused data, which it stores it in a way in which it allows you to use it beneficially. When you do copy design, it can save you, for example, hours and hours and hours of having to redefine the wheel. And let's continue a little bit. There's just a short video showing us just a quick definition on how we run a process flow from design data perspective, where you can actually run it through the different states in your life cycle, and then each individual user has the functionality to whether they see the file or not, or what level of interaction they have allowed with that particular file. So if you've got a designer, they do design. If you've got a reviewer, they should not be able to modify the file. They should be reviewing it and sending the information back to the design, for example. And that sort of thing actually is seamless and completely integrated into the Vault.
And that's known as the life cycle, right?
Okay. And then from a BOM perspective, we're talking about engineering BOMs, manufacturing BOMs, both of which, and electrical BOMs as well, both of bill of materials, all of which can be Vault can be used to send things to manage. Sorry. The engineering BOM reflects the manner in which the product is designed. So how do you want to put it together? You need to actually design it that way. How do you want it to be manufactured? You need to design it that way. So all of that gets managed in the Vault, and also in terms of the systems that are.
Also, I think things like stuff that you wouldn't necessarily design, lubrication,
sure,
paint, things like that. You're not necessarily designing it, but you need to account for it somewhere.
Yeah.
How does it get itemized? Where does it go? And this is the questions that it would answer for you.
We wouldn't want to be sitting and designing 20,000 screws.
Of course. But also, we don't know how many liters of paint we may need.
Yeah, sure.
As an example.
100%. Yeah. So between those sort of quantity items or purchase items like paint, glue, those sort of things as well, you can create a dummy item or an item inside of the Vault that allows you to then kick out the BOM as needed, because you don't want to be adding that to your assembly, for example. Quick video, also a bill of materials concept. We're talking about a release for manufacturing now, when the process is that the product or the assembly gets released for manufacturing. We then push it out into that process, into that state. Speaking to the life cycle from earlier, and then once it's pushed into that state, then everybody can pull a report or pull data from the vault, checking to see what items are available for manufacturing. And again, that also speaks to the security of the data, meaning that only if we tell the system that only the manufacturers can only see released data or the PDFs from the released data, that becomes an aspect of it. And this automation takes place. We need to run something called the job processor in the vault in order for all of those automated processes to actually push forward. This is just the demonstration of that particular job processor. It does happen automatically. And once all of those things are in place, then the information is available to anyone who has access to the system. So that'll be anyone in the organization, whether it's designers, manufacturing team, and management. I mean, to a certain extent, you can almost create a workaround that sales team also has access to the vault, so that they can see what's available and what is in manufacturing.
Yeah, and I think you set up the automations, am I right, within the transition, that when it's released, then
Absolutely.
the job processor kicks in and automatically creates PDF.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's no need to go and create the PDF manually. The system will do it for you, right?
And then there's your generated PDF that was automated there. All right.
So let's talk about the BOMs.
Yeah, so let's talk about bills of materials. How does one create a bill of materials or export a bill of materials from Vault? So this is a direct export where you create an item with your entire assembly. It grabs the data of all the components that are required, as well as the non-design components that Daniel was speaking about. And then that can easily and seamlessly be exported into a list of formats that you saw over there, the CSV, the XMLs, and other formats. Right, and then once that export takes place, we'll just export that to a CSV file, and then that can then be pushed forward into the rest of the process. Then Vault allows you to manage your inventor model states. What is an inventor model state? It's different states in which a model or a 3D model or an assembly can be placed. You can talk, for example, you can have a casted item and then a milled item. So those sort of things can work together. Pre-machine and final machine. Those you can contain them within the same inventor part model, and Vault allows you to manage that as well. Duplication reduction. So there's functions in Vault that allow you to diminish or decrease the amount of reworking of the wheel, like I said earlier, and to redesigning the same thing. And also it stops you from creating duplicates of similar items. Naming as well. File naming as well is a bit of a problem in terms of if you have the same file name or part one, it can be found 100 times. Then we've got a browser experience, which is the Vault Thin Client, which allows people with or without a license to be able to access the Vault via a Thin Client as long as they're connected within the same network.
Predominantly used in the workshop, right?
Yes,
so your release drawings would go. So essentially that the workshop would be always working off the latest files.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's no need to update your PDFs, and you do need to update your PDFs. What you won't have is the function or need to update printer drawings.
And what about, oh, here we go, mobile.
Vault mobile app. So we've also got a Vault mobile app that connects to the Vault, very similar to the Thin Client. It also has a little bit of additional functionality that allows you, but you can walk around on your phone, have a look at what you need to look at. Now we're talking about the PLM system or Autodesk Fusion Manage. All right, let's talk a little bit about that. And a quick video to run us through it.
In a world where you're always connected, shouldn't your product lifecycle management be too? Autodesk PLM brings you data and process management in the cloud. Instant on and anytime, anywhere access from a browser or mobile device. An intuitive user experience makes it easy for everyone to adopt. And with plugins for the most widely used CAD systems, teams can use Autodesk PLM with their design tools of choice. This gives you the benefit of faster collaboration across your organization and supply chain, regardless of who's using what. Autodesk PLM is a central source of truth, managing all your data and processes, And with its open API, it integrates easily with other business systems such as ERP and CRM, so you can do even more with your data. Autodesk PLM also helps you standardize business workflows. It comes with core PLM apps and dozens of specialized processes at no extra cost. And rather than starting from scratch, they have out-of-the-box workflows that you simply tailor to your business needs. A simple change of category here, another change here, and you're all set. Now you can better improve your new product development process. Better manage change orders, bill of materials, supplier collaboration, and product quality. Start with one process at a time and easily expand as you need. We give you the flexibility to start today and grow tomorrow with PLM that scales with your business. Our convenient subscription model allows you to add users as you need, and they can access the complete set of PLM capabilities without hidden costs. And with our growing network of Autodesk partners around the globe, there are experts ready to help you get the most out of PLM. Realize the benefits of connected people, processes, and data, and spend more time reaching your business goals with Autodesk PLM.
Really cool. I think the open API part is very interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting what we can do. So let's just briefly, we'll talk about different aspects of the PLM, from quality management through change management, all the way through up to bill of materials and requirements management. So all of that is being connected. And again, like we spoke about a little bit earlier, connecting all the teams together.
And I think this is just an introduction to it. You can expect to hear from us later on in the year with other webinars that go much deeper into it.
Sure. Yes. For sure. Absolutely. And then the thing that Daniel was just speaking about is your additional configurable processes that allow you to customize to what you want. Moving on, this is a template library of PLM out-of-the-box configurable workspaces that allow you to connect in from a quality, from a supply chain management, product development, and new product introduction, change, and other business processes. So all of those tools out of the box, then there are the configurable things that we spoke about just now as well. This is a completely modern PLM solution built for security, configurability, and scale, touching on connected data, improved productivity, instant reporting, and it is highly scalable in terms of you can work on a small team to a big team, from a startup all the way to a multinational. And finally, we're talking about the integrated solution between what's called the Vault PLM, which is an integrated PDM PLM solution where Vault runs your PDM, and that integrates directly into the Fusion Manage PLM aspect of it. So where you've got Vault that connects all of your design data and some of your manufacturing data and some of your lifecycle data, that then goes and connects into your Fusion Manage PLM system, which in turn can connect directly into your ERP system to allow for complete and seamless enterprise level project and product control.
Okay, so I think you've got one more poll.
One more poll. Thank you very much for your time. Let's, guys, let's just run one more poll, the second poll. It's just a quick recap of what we have so far spoken about.
So let's see if that poll is launched at the moment. So look at that. Here we go. All right, we'll give this a minute, and then yeah, we can close it off afterward. So which solution resonates most with you? So often we find that a lot of clients look at PLM first. However, we would recommend, it just depends, right? If you've got no PDM and you want to start something, where do you start, right? So often we find that PDM is a nice place to start, and then from there evolve into PLM. Or you could go directly into it. It just depends on what the data looks like, or what the environment looks like.
If you're already confident in your data, then we can jump right into the combined solution.
Yeah. But fortunately, Autodesk offers PLM and PDM in one package called the Vault PLM package. So you can have both.
You can have both.
Good thing to note here is that PDM is local, right? So it's on your in-house hosted server. So your vaults are generally installed within the organization's server. We had examples in the past where Vault was installed up in cloud hosted environments. That is also possible, but the PLM systems are generally your cloud hosted systems,
Yes,
giving you access to data no matter where you are in the world. Okay, can we close the poll?
let's close the poll. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so let's close the poll. All right, so let's head back to presentation.
So let's quickly open up the floor to anyone who has any questions.
Okay, so that brings us to the end.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. If you've got any questions, please use the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them. Okay, no questions yet. We'll give it a couple of minutes more. We're almost at the end of the hour, so let us know.
Oh, there's one coming in. The level of security, yeah, sure. The level of security on a cloud-based, cloud-hosted system. Do you want to take that, or?
Look, I think you can go.
So look, there is the cloud-hosted solutions like our PLM system or our cloud PDMs are all hosted in the cloud, which is the Autodesk cloud, which is hosted on the Amazon Web Server client, which has a extremely high degree of security, and only access is given to the people who are allowed to have access to it from a company or from an international perspective.
And I think over the years, Autodesk has been investing a lot of money into cloud security. I know it is ISO accredited. There is a white paper on cloud security. So if anybody wants to have a read of it to see, and I know IT generally cares a lot about that. But if you have any questions from your IT team, or if you want to have a read for interest sake, do reach out. We're happy to share that with you.
All right. In the absence of any further questions, I think let's close that out.
Okay. So do you have a call to action? So how do people get in contact with us? How do they?
Let's talk about that. So, guys, thank you very much for your time. But if you do need to get into contact with us, please contact us to consult with our team. Daniel will be potentially one of the guys that you'll talk to, and Peter or any of the others are fully qualified to work with you to figure out what your journey towards digital transformation will be. We will provide the consulting and training, as well as provide the correct solution for what you require.
Also, if you want to have a discussion about it, I think our contact details are up on screen. But if you want to have a discussion about what works best for you, what does best practice look like, how can we solve a problem that you have, let us know. Reach out. We're happy to have those chats. We find it very interesting. Not many people do, but we do find it very, very interesting. And yeah, we're happy to help out where we can. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time. Thank you, AJ, for a great presentation. I'm sure that's there's a lot of insights shared, and there's a lot of questions you may have. So that may not come up now, but should that question come up, please feel free, reach out, and we'll be happy to help out.
Thank you, Daniel, for setting up the platform, and thank you guys for listening. Have a good day.
Have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.